Hello, this is a brief demo of Avaya Cloud Networking Platform. In this demonstration, we'll be talking about how to configure your access points using profiles and some of the historical reporting and other capabilities of the Avaya Cloud Networking Platform. So what I'm showing is the dashboard. In the previous demo, we talked about how do you do the zero-touch provisioning of a brand new access point and what these tiles are and how can you use them. In this particular demo, let's start with if you have a Avaya Cloud Networking platform and you want to create profile, how do you go about doing that? So you come here on the profiles and let's take a look at all the profiles we have already created on our demo system. So profile is essentially a logical grouping of your various wireless networks. This logical grouping could be by physical location. So every site may require a slightly different configuration. So what I'm showing here is a Norway site, an Omar site, a Nairobi office, and a Kenya office. And all these sites and offices may require different configuration, different SSIDs. So we have independent profiles for all these offices. And very quickly you can see the amount of APs that are associated with these profiles, the number of clients that are connected on any of these site or profiles. And configuring a profile or a site is very easy. Let's take a look of the Nairobi office, since they have two APs already up and running. So the first thing is you give a name to the profile, some description if you want to, which is optional. You give the country and the time zone for that profile. Everywhere, wherever possible, we try to put the default configuration, which is our best practice recommendation. In this particular case, as you can see, there are a lot of other default configurations that are already provided. The network time protocol, or NTP, the primary server name is already configured here. LEDs, syslog messages. For example, if you want to configure your profile and connect with an Active Directory, you can do that here very easily and quickly. Just put the name of the domain administrator, the domain password, controller identity, and things like that. And then the cloud account will be connected with your Active Directory. And the reason you would do that is so when you are authenticating your wireless users, you can use their Windows username password to authenticate on the wireless network. So I was in the first step of general configuration, and the next big step is to add SSIDs to your profile. So there are a couple of SSIDs we have already created, but creating a brand new SSID is very simple. I just give it a SSID name, test1, for example. I want to pick whether this is a 2.4 or 5 gigahertz SSID or both. Let me just pick a 5 gigahertz SSID. The next thing is about encryption and authentication. Typically, you would want a secure authentication and encryption. So in case of employee SSID, so let's say I'm creating an employee SSID, then I want AES for encryption, and for authentication, I want say .1x, and in that case, I will pick EAP and point to my radius server. If you have a secondary radius server, you can point to the secondary radius server also. And so then once you're done with your encryption and authentication configuration, then the next thing you do is access control. And what I mean by access control is, suppose the encryption and authentication is open, but you want a captive portal to authenticate the users, then you pick that as a policy. And you can pick a already configured portal, say a self-registration portal that we have already created. You can pick that, and then you're done with your configuration. Once you're done with this basic configuration, then you move on to the network aspect of the configuration, whether you want to assign IP addresses statically or do a DHCP or whatever is the default on the access point. Second is policies, and this is where you may spend quite a bit of time in fine-tuning the policies. And what I mean by policies are the access policies that allow you to access into the network, or the application specific policies where you can say, I want to allow Facebook or not allow Facebook, or you could say, I want to allow Netflix, but not more than 5 Mbps stream. You can create policies that are global in nature or for each SSID. Let me just create an SSID specific policy, and I can show you this is very easy. Here also there's an advanced button. If you want to create, for example, QoS policies for your SSID, you can create that here. If you want to limit number of clients that are connecting to this SSID, you can do that here also. I can say instead of the max number, say at any given time, not more than 50 clients are allowed to connect on my SSID. Then I can create a rule, and I could create a firewall rule for this SSID, a layer 2 or layer 3, or I can create a application control rule based on our deep packet inspection. Let's take a quick example for streaming media. And if I say for streaming media Netflix, and as we saw earlier that Netflix is one of the top used application on my network, and I can say, hey, I don't want to block it, I want to allow it, but I want to reduce the QoS to the minimum QoS on my network and limit the traffic to 5000 kbps or 5 mbps. As you can see, it took me a couple of seconds to create a very comprehensive policy that can rate limit the Netflix traffic on this particular SSID. And that's all it takes to create the policy on my SSID. If I've got Apple services like AirPlay and Apple TV, I can enable those services on my network. If I want additional configuration, I can always come here and do additional configuration. Other key things are which are under the advanced button is if you want to optimize your wireless network for traffic or more advanced radio settings, you can come on the optimization button here. If you want to enable location reporting, for example, you may have a third-party application that you're using for location analytics, and then very simply, if you want to export the location and XY coordinates from your access point specific to each client that is connected, you can just turn it on here through this radio button and then point to the third-party location analytics service that you're using on your network. So as you can see, very simply, within 5 minutes, we were able to configure this wireless network end to end. And once you configure your profile, so I don't save any changes here, you can assign access points to that profile. I've got a couple of access points that have not been assigned to any profile, so I can drag them to this particular profile. And once that is done, and you see the access points are activated and online, then you're ready for client connectivity. And I can see here on this profile on this particular site in Nairobi, there were 2 access points that are active and 3 clients that are active. And there's a very easy way to configure your network and manage and monitor your network with real-time data. Thanks for watching.